In this video, I'm going to show you how to review a job. All I'm showing you today applies for jobs that are still running and for finished jobs, of course. All right, in the previous video, I've shown you how to find a job, so I'm starting off on this screen here, which opens up once I click on the job that I'm interested in. The default view is the tray view, and that's what you're seeing here on the screen, the tray with, in this case, 14 Petri plate positions. On the right-hand side, you see some details about this job. For example, the imaging device was run on and who has started the job. If you chose to run the job at a target temperature, then you'll also get the temperature log here. Under Analysis, you'll find all the analyses that were applied to this job. In most cases, this will just be one, but we're seeing multiple here since this was an internal job that I've been using for comparing different analyses. Anything that gets changed about this job will be tracked. For example, if we would change the job title, this will be reflected in the log like this. Let's now have a look at the actual data. As you can see, this was a time-lapse job. We have used the imaging device as an incubator and took an image of every plate, every hour, over the course of 3 days, over the weekend, for example. So maybe this job has been started on a Friday afternoon. With Reshape, you can now start jobs on Fridays without anyone having to come in on a Saturday or Sunday to check on your plates. If you really want to, you can do this from your couch at home. If a plate is overgrown on Monday, just use the time-lapse function to check how the plate looked before it became uncountable. You can basically go back in time. But back to this example here. In total, an image every hour for 3 days means 72 images or 72 frames. Actually, we have 144 here because this job has also been recorded with bottom light. So here is how you can toggle between the two modes. And right next to it is the button for changing the playback speed of your time-lapse video. Let's change this to 2x. And then finally, run the time-lapse by clicking the play button. You can also go frame by frame by using the button next to the play button. Let's now have a look at an individual plate. You can click on any of the positions on the tray, and a new side panel will open up on the right side of the screen, showing you an enhanced image of this position, the plate in this case. Let's head over to the Details tab here in the top right corner. This is where you can keep additional metadata information about this plate. For example, the media that was used, and you can also write down some notes. You don't have to fill this in because it's not going to influence the AI analysis at all. This is really just for note keeping, for tracking purposes. And of course, we can also automatically populate these fields through our RESTful API connecting to your ELN or your LIMS. Back to analysis. The top drop down here is where you would change the analysis that is applied on the job if there are multiple available. And most importantly, this is where you toggle on and off the AI annotations. So this button is going to show you what the AI is seeing on this particular image, show you all the objects it has found, the CFUs in this case. You can also click on an individual object, the CFU, to learn more about it, the area in square millimeters, and when it first appeared in the time lapse. We are also keeping track of all the color values for every object, so RGB and HSV. We're not showing them here, but they are available, and we can use them to differentiate between different microbes growing on the same plate. But I'll get back to that in a minute. You can zoom in on a plate by moving your mouse wheel up and down, and you can move around by clicking and dragging. Of course, also in this view, you can switch over to bottom light, wait a couple seconds until the annotations are available again, and turn them on over here. When you scroll down, you will see the metrics associated with this analysis: count, maximum count, average time of appearance, growth rate. And you can move your mouse into the count graph here, for example, to see the count per time point. Obviously, this is a TNTC plate, so let's maybe select one that was in the countable range, like this plate. Move up again turn on the annotations, and have a look at the count graph for this plate. I've now switched to a different job because I wanted to get back to what I said earlier about colors. In addition to area and time of appearance, we are tracking RGB and HSV values for every object. So we can make use of that and create categories for objects, meaning that we can differentiate between different microbes growing on the same plate. So in this example, we only care about the big yellow CFUs. So I can toggle on and off the annotations that are not filtered yet. And by scrolling down to my count graph over here, I can actually click on one of these lines and filter the annotations accordingly. So here we are using the saturation value to get a count, to get the annotations for just the big yellow CFUs. Here's another example. This is an endpoint image job. As you can see, it just has one frame and there is no video player. I wanted to show this because there is also this way of differentiating between different microbes growing on the same plate, yeast and mold in this case. Here, we are not using a filter on RGB, HSV, or area, but actually a dedicated AI model that is being trained with a lot of images that look like this so that it understands what a mold and what a yeast is. Here, you don't have a line graph, but just these two boxes that will give you the count for both categories, molds and yeast.